Hey everyone, it's Tyron here. I just want to talk with you a little bit about the myth of the low-fat craze that started back, I guess originally in the 1950s with Dr. Keyes' research. The average American, which will also apply to most North Americans and even people from Australia and other Western nations, that the average American consumes about 50% of their calories from carbohydrates, and that has a tremendous negative effect on your leptin hormone and your insulin physiology, which is just the more um, the more impact that you have on insulin and leptin, the more resistance that you're going to have in those, which is going to lead to more problems down the road, whether it's metabolic syndrome, weight gain, obesity, and that kind of stuff. So what you basically want to do is you want to do the opposite of the low-fat craze, and you actually want to go high-fat. So instead of having 50% of your calories coming from carbohydrates, what you want to do is you want to switch that, and you want to drop that down to about 20 or 25% of your calories from carbohydrates, about 20% of your calories to 25% coming from protein, and about 50 to 55% of your calories coming from fat, the healthy fats. Now the thing is, going back with the whole idea of when they cut out the fat from the diet, what they actually did is there's only three macronutrients, right? There's carbs, fats, and proteins. So when they cut out the fats from the foods, they had to replace it with something, and they usually replace it with carbohydrate. So I'm not sure why that all started or where that kind of came from, except from that research from Dr. Keyes in the 1950s. But yeah, so we just kind of want to flip that. We want to drop the carbohydrates from 50+% to 25%, and then bump those healthy fats way up. And a really good way to do that is to track your calories on either fitday.com or myfitnesspal.com. One of those programs. Just track the foods that you're eating, by the amounts or the weight, however you're measuring it, and it'll give you a breakdown of what your actual daily percentages are. So you want to kind of follow about the 50 to 55% fat, 20 to 25% carbohydrate, and 20 to 25% fat or protein. Sorry. And now when I say increasing your fats to 50-55%, I'm specifically talking about the good healthy fats. So not things like canola oil, corn oil, soy oil, which a lot of them are about 95% of them are GMO, which is genetically modified. And also the problem with a lot of those canola, corn, and soy is they're very high in omega-6, which is pro-inflammatory. So it affects the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, which has a profound influence on your metabolic physiology. So we definitely want to keep a better balance of the omega-3s to omega-6s, whereas if we're having a lot of those vegetable oils, those ones I mentioned, it makes your omega-6s go way too high in comparison to the omega-3s. So the fats you want to focus on are the healthy fats, including saturated fats. That's another myth that's been perpetuated, that saturated fats are bad for you, that you should avoid them. So I'm just going to give you a list of a few fats that you should that should make up that 50-55% of your calories. So one would be coconut oil, for instance. Coconut oil has a profound influence on your thyroid hormone and your metabolic function, and it also has can help you build lean muscle tissue or lean tissue. So if you're wanting, for one aspect, if you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to be leaner, something that's going to promote thyroid function, which is highly related to your metabolic rate, then coconut oil is going to be something that you're going to want to consume. It's also got an important fatty acid called lauryl acid, which is a powerful immune stimulator. So it's also got that benefit. And also the fat molecules in coconut oil are actually quite small, so they actually are easily incorporated or easily diffused, if you want to call it passively diffused into the cells to be burned for energy as well as in the liver. So you're actually burning them up, and you're not actually getting an insulin response when you're consuming coconut oil. When you're consuming coconut oil, you're not going to get an actual insulin response from that coconut oil. So because the body's actually, the molecules are so small, it goes right into the cells, the body burns that and uses it up for energy right away. So other than coconut oil, another really good one is avocados, butter. As strange as that may sound, butter is a great oil to cook with, great oil to put on your vegetables and just use generally. Preferably if you could get a raw, organic, grass-fed butter, that would actually be best, but chances of getting that here in Canada is going to be slim. If you live in the States, you can find it in states, just trying to think off the top of my head, probably like California, I believe, has it, Pennsylvania, New York. There's a few states that legalize raw milk, but even just a good organic butter would be good. Another good fat is from eggs, so the egg yolks. Preferably go with organic and pasture-fed, or pasture-raised, sorry, eggs, so free-run eggs. Also, another good source of fat is raw nuts, so things like almonds, walnuts, hazelnuts, pistachios, cashews, those types of nuts. Just avoid the ones that are roasted, because they will roast them with oil, or if they roast them with high heat, it can actually damage the delicate good fats in them, so you want to get them raw. And then sixthly is the extra virgin olive oil, and that's another really good one too. I forgot to mention, forgot to point out with the coconut oil, is you want to try to get a virgin coconut oil, which is kind of like extra virgin with the olive oil. So try to get that as best you can, because it's just got a little bit more nutrients in it. It's got more enzymes and stuff. So coconut oil, avocados, butter, eggs, raw nuts, and extra virgin olive oil. Also, just to kind of remind you again, try to consume your fat content, the amount of calories that you're having over a whole day. Try to make the percentage of that to be about 50 to 55% from fat, 20 to 25% from protein, and 20 to 25% from carbohydrate. You want to mainly get of that 20 to 25% of carbohydrate, you want it to mainly come from fiber-based vegetables, like green leafy vegetables, broccolis, things like chard and collard greens and kale, celery, all those different Brussels sprouts, green beans, that kind of stuff. And also a good starch to eat that you will want to consume if you want to have some starches. If you exercise a lot or you're glucose deficient, means you're low in sugars, you might want to add a starch to your everyday. Good starches are white rice and white potatoes, sweet potatoes, and even yams. As weird as that sounds, white rice and white potatoes. There's some work done by Dr. Gemini that he did some research on, better than brown rice and that kind of stuff. So yeah, stick with the white rice and the white potatoes, the sweet potatoes, and the yams. You can check out his work on Perfect Health Diet, I believe it is .com. Also, with other carbohydrates that you want to avoid like basically all grains, beans, and sugars. Okay, so grains, for instance, would be like wheat, and then flour, because most flour is going to be made from wheat, spelt, oats, basically anything that's not those ones that I mentioned. So again, rice, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, quinoa is a good one too. Some people might have a problem with quinoa because quinoa is the thing with grains some people have a problem with is the gluten, and quinoa actually has a form of gluten called gliadin. So you might be fine with that one, but some people might have a problem. So you can just feel it out with your body how you feel. But you should notice if you make this adjustment in your calories, increasing the fats, really dropping down the carbohydrates, and having your carbohydrates come from high fiber vegetables, and then those starches that I mentioned, you'll find that certain degenerative diseases either just fully disappear or they just never appear in the first place. So give that a shot, and if you have any questions, send me an email back, post a comment below, and yeah, hope that helps and improves your health. Talk to you later.